joined as always by Clinton Boring. My name is Ryan Sadkowiak. It is week 6 of the college football season. I guess we're technically almost at the halfway point, depending, I guess, on what your halfway point is of the season. But we're into October. It feels like October. It's nice. I don't like that it gets dark super early, but it's nice not sweating my balls off, which I should enjoy for approximately one day because I think it's going to be 87 degrees here today, Clinton. So if you're a Michigan fan listening to this and you're going to the game on Saturday, drink your water because it's going to be a hot one even at high noon. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. My voice is not fully back, but it's much closer than what it was on Monday. But a beautiful day. We've had a beautiful week of weather here in Columbus. This is the last hurrah, though, of warm weather, at least here in Columbus. I was looking by the end of next week, we're like a high of 65.
That's the best.
So
that's my
it
fave.
will officially be chilly weather. As I referenced last show, eating chilly weather. So I'm pretty excited about that. Get the windows open, get some fresh air flowing through the house. We got 3 flag football games left. So I'm a little sad, man. I really enjoy getting to go out on Sunday mornings and do those, but it'll also be nice to have Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings free again. Mr. Ryan, how you doing? Any update on the raccoon situation and your sleep?
So the guy came and apparently he went and stomped on the roof. I was not here when he came again, and apparently he stomped on the roof and was like, yeah, there's no noise in there. You definitely hear it, so it's probably not in there. But he did not look in the attic to confirm. I'm like, you couldn't take 5 minutes to just go in the attic and be like, yeah, it's definitely not
Probably
there.
Scared. Fucker come running out. Rah!
Yeah, well, you'd think because that was my thought too. I'm like, well, it could be scared, but also, I don't know. Maybe you'd think that the noise it would just freak out and leave. But so his hypothesis is it left because he's like, you definitely smell it if it died, but it might try to come back. So they rebaited the trap, and they're like, we'll give it a week, and if it's not back, then we'll just patch up the roof. I'm like, great, wonderful, fantastic. So that's the final update for now. Hopefully that is the last update, and I never have to think about this again because it's not been fun. I actually haven't actively thought about it in 4 days, but
I really hope this is over for you and you don't have to continue to deal with that. That sounds like an absolute mess. I would not be thrilled to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I forgot to ask, your sniffles. You were sniffly. How you doing with that?
I feel 85% better. I don't know if the 85% versus 100% at this point is just sleep deprivation, but I also probably got Sam sick, so now she's dealing with what I was dealing with.
Sam.
Yeah, she was going to go down and hang out with her friend in Columbus this weekend, and now that's on hold. And yeah, good times, fun times. So that's where we're at. Nice. Week 6, guys. If you have to do something on a Saturday, this is probably a Saturday to do it.
Yes.
There's not a lot going. Well, it's always the quiet ones, right? The weekend where there's not a marquee matchup, and there is. Go figure. Vandy and Alabama is probably the marquee matchup of the weekend. Who had that on their bingo card at the start of the season? But not a whole lot going on in the Big Ten. But as you know, the quiet ones are usually the ones where the craziest stuff happens. So there's certainly going to be something on this docket that is surprising. Reminder, guys, this episode is brought to you by Battle Bets. Join our Battle Bets League. I don't remember the URL off the top of my head. I should probably know this by now. But the betting closes at 12 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. Get in and make your picks. That is battlebets.app/ITP. Reminder, you don't have to be iOS anymore. You can do the website to join. So check that out. Join. I think I'm in first place right now because I'm better than all of you. Clinton, I realized
Clinton's only played for 1 week.
And Clinton's only played for 1 week. I realized after we logged off last week that we did not do bets of the week, which is fine.
I almost said something to you.
My bets stink, so I'll drum up a couple things for today. But can't forget that.
I knew this was Larry's comment. As soon as I saw there was one comment this early, I knew it would be Larry. Larry with the comment, Notre Dame and the over equals throwing away your money. I'm just kidding, Larry. Equals.
The over has been very good to me for Notre Dame the last couple of weeks, so that's really the only thing that I've been good at. But we have some games to pick. We have a new segment at the end we'll talk about that goes along with the pick. So let's, Clinton, let's get to it.
Are you ready? These are Inside the Pylons picks of the week.
Clinton, it says something that our game of the week is being played at 4 o'clock on FS1. Michigan State at Nebraska. The Huskers are an 11.5-point favorite coming off of a bye week. Both teams coming off of a bye week last time out. Both teams had varying levels of crushing defeats. Nebraska against Michigan, the 3-point loss. Michigan State hung tough against USC, but ultimately could not stop the Trojans' passing attack, which does not bode well for them in this game because maybe not to the same level as USC, but Nebraska is also a team, Clinton, that very much likes to throw the ball around the field.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you stopped there because that's one of my keys for the game, and I didn't want you to jump onto it too early. You mentioned it, man. This is key for both teams if they want to stay alive from the factor of being from the point of being a factor within the Big Ten. Both are 0-1. You fall to 0-2, you'll really only have a chance to be a factor in an instance of you pull an upset. But especially Nebraska, because we've gave some talk to Nebraska as a potential playoff dark horse. So you cannot fall to 0-2 in this game. So I'm going to start us off here with keys 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, the Michigan State run defense must hold up in this game. Michigan State had a really tough time with USC's run game, Ryan. USC had 40 carries, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, and averaged 7.2 yards per carry. Nebraska's run game hasn't been elite, but they are extremely committed to pounding the rock, even though they've had the mixed success. Their worst games came against their 2 best opponents, Cincinnati and Michigan. But Emmett Johnson is a really good back, hard runner, and he's also an effective pass catcher. On the season, rushing, Emmett Johnson has 71 carries, 391 yards, 4 tutties, 5.5 yards per carry. So Michigan State and the Spartans must pick up on that, or Emmett Johnson might just have a big day. Key number 2, the Michigan State offense, has to get explosive early and let Childs feed the wide receivers, Marsh and Kelly. However, the counter to that is Nebraska still number 1 in the nation on pass defense, Ryan. They are allowing a whopping, play on words, folks, 75.8 yards per game and only allowing a 50.6% completion percentage of opposing quarterbacks. Again, I know they haven't faced a ton of tough teams. They faced a Michigan offense who doesn't pass the ball well. I believe Bryce Underwood is under 60% on the year for completion percentages. So they haven't really been tested yet, but that's some pretty elite stats to get through a month of a college football season. Key number 3, the Michigan State pass defense. They are allowing, an extremely high completion percentage to their opposing quarterbacks. Ryan alluded to how USC kind of tore him up. Well, Maeva hit 77% of his passes in that game. And then Boston College's quarterback, Lonergan, hit 76% of his passes against him. And now you face Dylan Raiola, who will be at home, has a huge connection with Barney. He's hitting 76% of his passes on the season. So the Michigan State, we said run D and pass D, must hold up in this game, or it's going to be a long night for the Spartans. But if you look at the other side, this is really the key. Aiden Childs is also very good. This quarterback matchup should be really fun to watch. One key difference, I think, in this matchup, Ryan, this will allude to my pick, is that Childs will be terrific while trying to come back in this game. So I have, what's the line? Nebraska.
11.5.
So I think Michigan State. I like Michigan State plus 11.5, but I like Nebraska to win the game.
So a couple stats for you here, Clinton. I think the biggest key to this game for Michigan State is you have to get pressure on Dylan Raiola. They only have 4 sacks through 6. 6 sacks through 4 games. I said that backwards. Couple stats for you on Dylan Raiola. His average seconds to throw this year is 2.89 seconds. That is the 108th slowest in the nation. His sack to pressure rate is 119th at 28.6% of the time he is pressured. He is sacked. And if you get after him, you get Nebraska behind the sticks, you're going to force them to take downfield shots, which is not necessarily something that they are akin to doing. Dylan Raiola's 6.2 air yards per attempt this year is 123rd in the nation. However, the bad news for Michigan State, Clinton, you alluded to it, the pass defense. There are 5 FBS schools in Michigan, Clinton. And Michigan State ranks last among those 5 in passing yards per game allowed. They're 117th in the nation.
Lower than the directional Michigans?
They're lower than both directional Michigans.
What
All
about
three.
Michigan
They're lower than all
Central
three.
Tech? Are they lower than Michigan Central Tech? I'm just kidding.
Michigan,
There is Detroit Cass Tech, a high school.
so there is Michigan Tech in Houghton, but I think they're a D2 school in football. There's, I just lost my spot there. So, they haven't had success throwing the football, and if Nebraska can protect Dylan Raiola, there's going to be opportunities for him. Not necessarily, I would say, to hit shots downfield, but to find open guys. And the key for Nebraska for me in this game, Clinton, is can you provide Dylan Raiola with some balance in the run game? Michigan State, you've touched on the run defense. They're 47th nationally in yards per game allowed, but they're tied for 82nd with 4.2 yards per carry allowed. Nebraska's 87th nationally in yards per game rushing, so that's a little, I don't know if calling it week on week is necessarily fair, but that'll be an interesting matchup in this game. Which of those units can step up in this game? I have little confidence in this Michigan State pass defense right now, and I think Nebraska is going to be hungry to make a statement at home coming off of a bye week. I'm going to take the Huskers to cover this game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's say we'll call it 38-24.
I think that's fair. I think that's not too far off the spread.
No, and I mean, I don't think they're going to blow them out by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it'll be a
We both
relatively...
sucked last week, by the way, 3-4 for those who follow us weekly. We were ass.
Yeah, we had some big time culprits in there. Penn State.
We were opposites of each other as well, too, on a lot of them.
You are correct. Yeah, good for us. We both got played by Indiana and USC. Let's kind of run through the rest of these games here. 12 o'clock on Fox. Wisconsin is at Michigan. That's
Big noon.
Big noon kickoff. Not a compelling big noon kickoff. Michigan is a 17.5-point favorite in this game. Clinton, we just talked about week on week. This is going to be a big time strength on strength matchup. Wisconsin has been excellent at stopping the run this year. They're first in the country with 50 yards per game allowed, which is because they've been good at stopping the run, but also because they cannot stop the pass to save their life. So talking week on week, the Wisconsin pass defense against the Michigan pass offense, which has similarly not been fantastic this year, though against Central Michigan, Bryce Underwood did hit some plays downfield. And yes, I did just compare Wisconsin's pass defense to Central Michigan. Big key in this game here, Justice Haynes has a 59-yard rush in 3 of 4 games. The only game he did not clean was Central Michigan. Go figure. So
look at the Chippewas, man.
Good for them. We'll talk about them later in the show here. I just don't have faith that Wisconsin is going to score or move the ball consistently at all. 17.5 is a big spread for a team that still does not really have that much of a functional passing game, but they have an exceptionally functional run game. And realistically, man, if Michigan can get to 24 in this game, I think they will cover this spread. So I'm going to take the Wolverines to cover here.
Absolutely. In addition to the Badgers rush D allowing 50 yards per game, they're allowing 2.1 yards per carry average. But you flip it over and look at Michigan's rushing attack. They are ranked 8th best in college football, averaging 254 yards per game.
Just call them a service academy.
If you look at Wisconsin, what Wisconsin's faced, Alabama doesn't have a proclivity to run the ball well this year, and Maryland does not run the ball well. So your two toughest opponents pass the ball well, but don't run the ball well. So that will certainly help elevate your rush defensive stats. Let's say, though, Ryan, Wisconsin stifles this Michigan run game. Two keys here. Can Michigan actually pass their way to victory? And then can the Wisconsin offense even score enough points if their run D even shows up in this game? The Badgers are averaging a measly 20.8 points per game. That is good enough for 109th in the country. That is 109th out of 136, folks.
Yikes.
Their offense stinks. I think Michigan covers this game easily and blows the doors off of Wisconsin at home.
So if we get a blowout in this game, are we officially on Luke Fickell getting fired watch? Or when is this going to start?
I think it starts right after this game. If they don't look respectable in this game, I think it ramps up even more. And we just talked about that in our True and False episode on Monday. Was true or false? Would there be one more Big Ten coach fired this season? And I think we both kind of agreed. You said David Braun, but Fickell's a strong candidate here, man. If they look bad, this schedule doesn't get any easier. And I don't know, maybe that gives them leeway. Maybe that works in reverse, that they let him hang on because it's so brutal. Do we have word? I didn't see anything. Is it O'Neal or is it going to be? Is Edwards actually going to be able to play?
Yeah, I haven't seen
I know he
anything
tried
yet.
last week and it didn't go. Or yeah, it was last week and didn't go well. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get on the field for them. I like the Wisconsin offense a little bit better if Billy Edwards is out there, but he hasn't really played in a few weeks. Well, haven't played more than a snap. So
The only update I've seen is Danny O'Neal is getting the majority of the reps, but Billy Edwards has been back practicing.
okay, yeah. So I like it a little better. I think Michigan covers this regardless of which quarterback is in.
Yeah, that's just going to be hard for him to come back in, and that's the best defense your team has played all year. And it's like, oh, go get back in the game.
I do think if Michigan can, we know they can run the ball, and they face USC next week, and that will be a battle. That's a 7:30 game on NBC at USC. But I think Michigan's going to have to be able to pass the ball this year to beat USC. I know Wink Martindale runs a really good defense, is kind of previewing next week's game with USC, but USC's slinging the rock, man. And if USC builds let's say, a 14 to 17 point lead, Michigan might be in trouble if they can't pass their way back into a game. So maybe I've been saying this for the past 2 weeks. Take the training wheels off of Bryce Underwood and Julian Sayin just a little bit, but this game specific being Bryce Underwood, and see what your receivers can do, because I think they're going to have a big challenge next week.
Clinton, I'm very kind of like sicko excited for this game. 12 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Illinois is at Purdue. The Illini are a 9.5 point favorite in this game. They might challenge last year's game in terms of points scored, because this is two just bad defenses going up against each other. Illinois is 97th in passing yards per game allowed. They are 114th in pass efficiency defense and 109th in yards per attempt allowed. Ryan Brown on the other side of the field, he's gone for 300 yards at least in 3 of 4 games this year. The Boilermakers have a functional passing offense here, and that could spell trouble for the Illini. However, the issue for Purdue is they cannot play defense at all. I was going to say they can't stop the run, but they also just can't stop the pass either. They're 86th in the country in rushing yards per game allowed, 157 yards per game allowed on the ground, and Clinton, the pass defense has not been much better. 213 yards per game allowed is 70th if we are going to combine those two, which I guess I probably could have done just the first time. Anyway, they are the 79th ranked total defense in the country, which is actually a little better than I thought it would be. Yeah, man, this is on the. It's also kind of one of those weird lines too, right? Like, we think Illinois is a pretty good team. Maybe there's still a little bit of that stink in the back of some people's mouths with how they got absolutely bamboozled by IU, but I don't know, man. Part of me thinks Illinois runs away with this. Part of me thinks Purdue's coming off of a bye week. The offense has been pretty good this year. Illinois' defense hasn't been pretty good. I don't know. What are you thinking with this?
Well, last year was an absolute banger. Remember, Purdue pushed Illinois to the brink, coming all the way back.
Overtime.
Illinois had the fight to win 50-49 in overtime. Yes, that's right. The Fighting Illini and the Boilermakers combined for 99 points.
Clinton, the issue is Purdue's offensive play caller is now Washington's defensive coordinator.
We'll see if maybe they can't put up as much production now. So, 2 things I have here. The Illinois offense really took off last week against USC. The offensive line for Illinois looked like what we expected. They gave Luke Altmaier time, which he did not get against the Indiana front 7 and front 4. So Luke Altmaier, he completed 78% of his passes last week, Ryan, for 331 yards and 3 scores. If Purdue, which they don't do well, if they cannot generate pressure on Altmaier, he may just pick them apart all game long. And then looking furthermore into Purdue's defense, they're not taking the ball away at all.
No
So
way.
if Altmaier doesn't just hand them Christmas gifts 3 months early, they should be fine. 3 straight games, Purdue has given up over 200 yards or more passing. That does not bode well for a team on defense who struggles and is 79th in the nation, you said, when an offense looked like they just found their stride last week in the pass game. One thing I did like, neither team's really running the ball very well, but I thought Illinois was at least complimentary last week in the USC game, enough to hold USC honest. I love everything that Purdue's doing this year, And I'm going to say it again. If you played 2025 Purdue against 2024 Purdue, I think they win by 2 scores. I know the quarterback's the same. But I like Illinois on the road here. Again, this is the quiet Saturdays. This is probably the game where Purdue pulls the upset and pulls. Illinois got Ohio State next week. Do we have a look ahead?
Mm-hmm.
You're sandwiched between USC and Ohio State. You're overlooking Purdue. Maybe not, with Bielema having been the coach and it almost nipped him last year. I like Illinois minus 9.5 on the road at Purdue. Shout out Purdue fans. We loved our visit there last year.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Illinois, and I'm not doing this with any level of confidence.
I worry with what you said. Like, if we were to say one team's going to blow the other one out, it's Illinois over Purdue.
Well, right. And
Purdue's got to force turnovers and keep this game close. And if Illinois keeps the momentum, I don't think Purdue's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're realistically, if we're being honest with each other, the Notre Dame offense is a step above the Illinois offense, but Notre Dame could
Not
have
a chance.
scored.
No
They could have
way.
scored they could have scored 80 points in that game if they wanted to, and they just stopped playing football at the end of the third quarter. That's still not a very good defense, and I think Illinois is just still a little bit more buttoned up at this point. I mean, if we are sitting here on our recap show and discussing Purdue making it a close game and covering the spread, I would not be surprised, but I'm just not going to pick it to happen yet. Clinton, I don't know what to say about this game. 3:30 on CBS. Penn State is a 25.5-point favorite at UCLA. The only thing I wrote down is the dead cat bounce is the only thing helping UCLA.
It's a blow out in the Rose Bowl. UCLA is putting a blue out.
Painting the seats blue?
They got a bunch of remember during COVID when you had to have the cardboard cutouts?
Sure
a
do.
bunch of blue cardboard cutouts sitting in the stands for this game. Maybe they're bluing out to welcome Penn State, since Penn State does a whiteout at home but wears blue uniforms. So now it's reverse. They're going to do a blue out while Penn State wears white uniforms.
I guess.
Who the hell knows? You know what, man? I don't think anything's bouncing in the way of a favor of UCLA in this game. They're going to have 100 fans show up, and probably 50 of them will wear blue while the rest don't partake. I think Penn State's going to be really pissed off after last week's loss.
Yep.
UCLA, we talked about last week, has one of the worst rush defenses in the country, probably the worst in the Big Ten.
It is definitely the worst.
I think they're over. Probably dropped a little bit last week because Northwestern didn't run for over 200. But
there are 3 teams in the country with a worse rush defense than UCLA, who is allowing 232.8 yards per game on the ground. And they're actually not even close to the bottom. There are the 3 teams below them are actually substantially worse. Kent State is allowing 256. Georgia Southern is allowing 262. Eastern Michigan is allowing 279. That's a lot of rushing yards per game. But those are the 3 teams in the country with a worse rush defense than UCLA.
And you're hanging down there with them, and you're a Power 4 team. Anytime you're in company with Kent State, not good. You know, I think Katron Allen's going to have a huge day. I think this is a chance if Nicholas Singleton's going to find himself at all this year for Penn State. This is the game to do it.
Yep.
So if I got a player prop here, I'm going to combine Allen and Singleton for at least 270 yards on the ground. And because he's on my fantasy team, Katron Allen gets 3 rushing touchdowns. But I think Penn State, this is my Ryan, have the sound ready, lock of the week.
Lock of the week.
Penn State rolls in the Rose Bowl and smashes UCLA.
Yeah, this is a get-right game if I've ever seen one for the Penn State offense, particularly a rushing offense that has not had a ton of success against Oregon and then some less than stellar competition this year. But I don't know, man. I feel like you just got to get the entire offense right at this point. You got to shake some cobwebs off. What's it, the old net crack game where you just go out and you beat the shit out of someone just to feel better about yourself? If they don't do it in this game, then there are going to be some questions that we need to have about Penn State that we didn't think that we already had.
I mean, what happens if Penn State doesn't get off the mat and UCLA beats them?
They might.
James Franklin literally just said in the interview, it's going to be good to get away from home. Buddy, they ain't going to want your ass back at home.
They might leave you in LA if you.
You can just be the next coach of UCLA.
Yeah,
just stay there and take their job. They're not going to win, but my goodness, if it happened,
that would be.
First of all, you can kiss your playoff hopes goodbye because they'll just hold you out for just losing that game.
Oh yeah, no, that would be 10 times worse than Notre Dame losing to NIU. UCLA is one of the worst teams in all of college football this season.
Yeah.
I'm picking Penn State too. I'm not going to lock it up because I don't have faith in Penn State to do anything right now, but they will win this game and it will not be a contest. Also at 3:30, Clinton, NBC, Boise State at Notre Dame. This line has jumped up to the Irish minus 20.5. There is going to be a lot of points in this game. Clinton, we've talked ad nauseum about the Notre Dame defense on this show, which was actually pretty good against Taylor Green in Arkansas last week. Say what you want about Arkansas because they just fired their coach, but that offense was pretty good heading into that game. Meanwhile, Boise is 81st in the country, allowing 152.8 rush yards per game, and that is troublesome, Clinton, because they really, outside of USF, have not played anyone good. Their pass defense is a little bit better, 185 yards a game is 42nd, but again, with this Notre Dame offense, we're getting to a point with this Notre Dame offense, Clinton, you kind of have to pick your poison because they can beat you either over the head with the rushing game or they can throw it over your head with the pass game. Their passing offense, Boise State, is very good. 20th in the nation, 300 yards per game. Maddox Madsen's actually been pretty good, but something I was listening to, whenever Boise State plays a team that's good, he is not good. So he's kind of like a MAC merchant, a Mountain West Conference merchant, I guess, if you will. And again, Boise's schedule has not been fantastic this year. Their offense, though, 520 yards a game is 9th nationally. But their opponents outside of USF, who bullied them pretty good to start the season, are a combined 4-9. And those wins were against Charlotte, Lindenwood, Bucknell, and Western Illinois. Yeah. Clinton, if you can tell me what city 3 of those 4 teams are in, then good for you.
I got nothing.
I don't either.
Charlotte's in North Carolina.
I could tell you Western Illinois is in Illinois. I don't know where Bucknell or Lindenwood are.
I want to say Bucknell's in New York.
Yeah, I'll take your word for that. But yeah, man, USF did a really good job of bottling up this team.
Damn. It's in Pennsylvania. I was close.
No, good call. The only pause I have in picking this spread is that Notre Dame has that one game a year where they play a G5 team and they just don't cover the spread. But this is a much better offense than they've had the last 15 years, I guess, at this point. This feels like it's another one of those pick their score games where I think they can score into the 40s relatively easily, but how well the defense performs determines whether or not they cover this game or not. It sounds like Leonard Moore is going to play, which is a big help for the pass defense, which again was a lot better last week, which hard to be worse, but I'm going to pick the Irish to cover against my better judgment.
Here's my 3 things. Boise State's defense is cheeks, and the Irish O is cooking. Notre Dame has outscored their last 2 opponents 112-43.
Pretty good.
Next piece. Can Notre Dame continue the defensive momentum that they started building on last week? Looked much better against a very solid offense and a very solid quarterback. They got to keep building on it. Maybe they have found something. I think I read something where Freeman and Ash had a little bit of a chit-chat, and maybe
it was an uncomfortable meeting. An uncomfortable meeting.
Uncomfortable with Chris Ash because he was being ass.
Yeah,
and
sir, your defense
laid the
stinks.
wood.
Your defense is an affront to my senses.
Yeah. And then here's this. Notre Dame, I want to see you continue to feed Love and Price.
Mm-hmm.
Their run game is elite. However, Boise State's defense is only allowing 132 yards per game on the ground, 3.8 yards per carry. So maybe they present a challenge for a half, and Notre Dame's got to play starters for 4 quarters to finish blowing the doors off them.
Wait,
I like
where did
the
you
Irish.
get that? I got 152 yards per game allowed and 4.3 yards per carry.
Which site are you on?
I'm on sportsreference.com.
I swear that's where I got it from today.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
We disagree. Regardless, their rush defense is solid. Not bad, not great. Solid.
First in the country, man.
That's right in the middle.
I guess.
A little pass. 2/3. All right. Well, somebody lied. Regardless, I want to see them keep feeding Love and Price, more particular Price. Again, fantasy football interest. I like Notre Dame big in this. I don't care if Boise State had the #1 ranked rush defense. I like Notre Dame huge in this game. Give me the Irish.
Also 3:30 Clinton, Big Ten Network, Washington, a 6.5-point favorite at Maryland. I think heading into the season, we looked at this game as just kind of an interesting schedule spot for Washington coming after the Ohio State game plus the long road trip. Very well documented that Washington did not win a game on the road last year. But the now interesting subplot to this game is Maryland is actually okay, kind of good, and has
Still
not.
sucks at running the ball.
They still cannot run the ball, but that is not a new thing for them. They do have one of, I think Michigan fans might take offense to me saying this, but I think they might have the best true freshman quarterback in college football right now. They haven't really beaten anyone yet because you beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin, but Wisconsin kind of stinks. But you're 4-0. September, Maryland was a thing. The bad news for Maryland is it's now October, and do they turn into a pumpkin again?
Well, good news. I'm trying to pull up their most recent data. So, one, Washington's run defense fairly solid. They did pretty good against Ohio State last week. It sounds like Takario Davis is trending towards playing from what I just read. Does not mean he will play, but he's going to maybe give it a shot. September's over. Wake me up when September ends. Shout out Green Day. Can Maryland keep this momentum rolling? Ryan, they are 4-0. I feel like I read this stat last year. They are 4-0 for the third time in the last 5 years. Since 2021, the Terps are tied for the second most 4-0 starts in the country. Ryan, can you name the other two teams? They are in the Big Ten.
Ohio State.
No.
Shit. Oregon?
Yes.
And over the last however many years?
They are tied for second most 4-0 starts in the country, trailing only, since 2021. I almost read you the answer. What a dumbass. Since 2021.
I'll say Michigan.
Oregon and Penn State. Each of them have 4 times.
I forgot Penn State doesn't play a football game until October every year.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, again, September, Maryland, very much a thing. The Terps are also one of 3 teams nationally that haven't trailed this year. Can you name the other 2 teams, Ryan?
That haven't trailed.
One ACC, one Big 12.
Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Miami.
You are correct. Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
Now to the Washington side. They're coming off a battle with Ohio State last week. It didn't look like much of a battle for Ohio State, but it is a battle when opponents have to face teams like Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, yada, yada. How much have they recovered physically while also now dealing with a body clock game? And the fact that Ryan mentioned they didn't win a single road game last year. They have to get their big 3 going. Ohio State did a fantastic job laying groundwork to be able to contain Damon Williams. The thing is, you have to have the defensive linemen to be able to do that.
Yep.
And I don't know outside of Oregon, Michigan, and Ohio State on Washington's schedule if there's anybody else that can do that. Jonah Coleman, I look to be bouncing back over probably 150 in this game. If you guys are out of Ohio, player prop bet that. I would also be giving Jonah Williams at least 2 TDs in this game.
Jonah Williams?
Jonah Coleman. Washington offensive line has to play better in this game. Maryland ranks tied for first nationally. Look at all these firsts for Maryland. First nationally in sacks per game, averaging 4 a game. They are tied with 2 SEC teams, Oklahoma and Tennessee, and we know how elite the Oklahoma defense has been this year. Again, Oklahoma's had much tougher matchups than what Maryland has, but they're first in the Big Ten in pressure. Washington offensive line did not do a good job last week against Ohio State. I think they did a very mediocre job against Washington State 2 weeks ago. And then I believe they lost one of their offensive linemen last week against Ohio State. So we'll have to see if he's available for this game. That all being said, we have this line as Washington minus 6.5. I think Maryland covers. So give me Maryland plus 6.5, but Washington pulls it out and gets the win.
Here's another stat for you, Clinton. I know they have not played anyone and in some cases have played absolutely atrocious offenses. Looking at NIU, but Maryland is 12th in the nation in yards per play allowed. we'll find out if that's because Maryland's defense is actually good or if it's going to be a little bit like Washington last week where we're looking at Washington's offensive stats. I'm like, wow, how is Ohio State going to contain this? And it's like, well, it turns out their numbers were this good because they played terrible defenses. I'm with you. I'm going to take Maryland to cover. I think Washington will probably win this game, but I think it'll be close. And much like our conversation about Penn State last week, I really need to see Washington win this type of game before I feel confident
make your
picking
playoff
them.
pick come true.
I mean, yeah, it's technically still alive, but
They
before
lose this, they're toast.
yeah, they are toast. But I do need to see Washington win this type of game before I can feel confident picking them to win this type of game.
Yep.
One more 3:30 on Big Ten Network.
Banger.
Louisiana Monroe at Northwestern. The Wildcats are an 11.5-point favorite in this game, which feels like a lot of points, Clinton, because UL-Monroe is 26th nationally in rushing yards per game, 213 yards. This feels like a game that might be done in like an hour and a half because both teams are just going to run the ball and there's never going to be a clock stoppage.
Yeah, UL-Monroe is also ranked first in the Sun Belt, so they are the top team. Northwestern also hasn't won 2 in a row since the last 4 games of 2023 season. Here's a key here that might help someone pick the way they want to go with this line. ULM has a pass rush, but it's not contributing to helping their secondary at all because, Ryan, in 3 weeks, the ULM DBs have allowed over 1,000 yards passing. That is an atrocity.
To be fair,
one of them was Bama.
Alabama almost scored 100 points on them.
Yes, 73. That is fair. That elevates that stat. So can Northwestern finally be consistent in throwing the ball? Preston Stone, if you can turn back the clock, buddy, to 2023, you might have yourself a big game here. Where I'm leaning this, though, I believe we have it at, 11.5, minus 11.5.
Yep.
I think Northwestern wins, but I have ULM plus 11.5.
Clinton.
Lock of the week.
I'm going to take ULM to cover, and I think there's a chance they could win outright. This is a big game for Northwestern. They are 3-1 right now. You win this game, you get to 4-1, and you desperately need to win this game if you have any hope of going bowling this year, because their schedule after this is not easy. They are very likely going to be underdogs in every game they play the rest of the season, save for maybe Purdue, but I guess that depends what happens the next 2 weeks with Purdue. Yeah, man, big game for the Wildcats in this one. Last one we'll talk about here in our Big Ten segment. Your primetime game, Clinton. You guys get a night game.
One, and it's homecoming.
7:30 NBC, Minnesota at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 23.5-point favorite in this one. The Phillip Daniels revenge game for Minnesota. Clinton, what are you thinking here?
Well, I'm going to change our line since you said 23.5. I had it at 24.5, so it's now 23.5 for our pick'em. Ryan, what I think is that Minnesota's run defense is tough, and I all caps that. They are ranked 5th in the country, allowing only 65 yards per game, 2.3 yards per carry. Ohio State has been a little more middle of the road running the ball, a little better success since they've started having Bo Jackson be the predominant leader in the backfield. My other question is for Minnesota is Darius Taylor's availability. I tried to find something today. Again, I feel like it's speculative that he's going to try to give it a shot, but Darius Taylor and soft tissue injuries have not been friendly over the course of his career. Drake Lindsey's been great this far. We just talked about last week how he ranks top 10 in PFF quarterback grades with a minimum of 50-plus attempts, but Ohio State's defense is a different animal. Lindsey sits here with 958 yards, 7 TDs, 2 INTs, a 65.8% completion percentage. Ohio State's only allowed 132 yards passing a game, and they're holding opponents to 58.3% completion percentages. So Lindsey, he doesn't have elite wideouts. Ohio State can probably play man this entire game and then just let the D-line come after him. Ohio State, I'm looking. Do you take the training wheels off Julian saying earlier in this game? He is at home. This is a projected game that you should win fairly easily. No disrespect to the Golden Gophers, but it's not a tough road environment, and it's not Texas. Let the kid throw the ball. I want to see if Ohio State gets out of these 3 tight end looks, 4 tight end looks, the 4th tight end being their fullback, in the offense and start utilizing Max Clare, Brandon Ennis, Mylan Graham, Carnell Tate more out wide in addition to Smith. Bo Jackson, I think he gets a 100-plus yard game. And then Caden Curry, I just want to see what he follows up that magnificent performance he had against Washington and how much he can disrupt Drake Lindsey in this game. I have Minnesota covering, but Ohio State wins. So if we're going 23.5, I have it 31-10 Ohio State.
Clinton, I think Ohio State's going to cover this game, and it's not going to be particularly close. I'm going to say like 35-6.
I could see it.
I guess
mean,
that's
10 was generous. Maybe it's a late. Ohio State's got their backups in, but right now, I mean, they're allowing 5.5 points per game. This Ohio State defense is on another level. They were the number 1 ranked defense last year, and they are again the number 1 ranked defense this year.
Yep.
They have been absolutely elite. You could argue that there was no drop off from Knowles. There's only been even better with the defense and Matt Patricia. They are way more athletic. They are faster. It's a tough defense to move the ball on. But again, it's the quiet Saturdays. The quiet Saturdays that get you. So Ohio State, I don't think they'll be overlooking Minnesota. But I think Minnesota maybe gives them a challenge for a quarter or two.
Yeah, I like Drake Lindsey. I think there's a chance he has a big play in this game. I just don't know how Minnesota is going to move the ball consistently.
But, no Daniel Jackson, no Rashad Bateman's, no big play receivers that they have.
Right.
I think that's what spells trouble for them is if Ohio State can just sit on them and get a rush with 4 guys, it's going to be a long game for Lindsey, especially if Taylor doesn't play. Yes. I want Taylor to play because I want Ohio State to go against another elite running back in back-to-back weeks. But it could be a long night for Gopher fans.
Clinton, do you want to do the new segment next, or do you want to do bets of the week next?
Do your bets so we don't forget.
Sometimes you gotta pray for a victory.
This is Inside the Pylon's best bets of the week.
I have 4 bets for you here. First one is going to be Penn State minus 24.5. Again, if Penn State does not cover this game, then we riot because UCLA stinks.
Happy Valley will again be Sad Valley.
They will be coming back to a Sad Valley the next time they play at home. I have one here that's a little off the beaten path. A team prop. I have Notre Dame over 41.5 team total in this one. The overs in Notre Dame games, that's been kind of an auto over for me the last couple of weeks because of how bad the Irish defense has been. But then the Irish defense almost cost us that last week because they held Arkansas to 13 points. So we're just going to bet Notre Dame's team total over for the time being because they keep scoring a shitload of points. 50 points in back-to-back games. I could not tell you the last time that has happened. Clinton, this might be a vibes pick or a wishful thinking pick, but I'm going to take Vandy plus 10.5 against Alabama.
100% agree with you. 100%.
Diego Pavia came back to win a national championship. Everyone laughed at him, and now he has his team 5-0, and they could be bowl eligible the first weekend of October after this game and ranked top 10 in the country. That's insane.
This is a stressful next 2 weeks for Bama. Vandy at home and at Missouri. Both are undefeated in the SEC. You drop one of these games, you're in big shit.
Yep. Last one I have is Clemson minus 14 at North Carolina. Clemson has not been good this year. I don't know why I trust the Clemson offense to do anything, but that is how bad North Carolina has been.
Absolutely.
I think Clemson beats the brakes off of Bill Belichick.
And they've had a week for Dabo to kind of gather in the horse, put the reins on the horse, whatever you want to call it. Gather the troops. There we go. And I think Belichick and the Tar Heels are big. If Clemson loses this one, you want to talk about rioting. It's going to be bad, but Clemson's going to wipe the floor off.
Yeah, if Clemson loses this, they fall to 1-4, and I think you start to get a lot of positive Clemson people who've been staunch Dabo defenders who start to ask some questions.
Absolutely.
I have not made a sound for this yet. I have to figure out what I want to do for that. But our new segment here, we're going to call it the Mac Minute. We are going through the Mid-American Conference games of the weekend real quick. No breakdowns. We're just going to pick these games against the spread here because we promised at the beginning of the season we'd get more Mid-American Conference on this show. And we have failed at that so far, the first month of the season. We're going to try to do it here. I don't have the times or the channels on any of these. Sorry. First one we got here is the Ohio Bobcats, fresh off of a trouncing of Bowling Green. They're a 14.5-point favorite at Ball State in this game. Clinton, I am concerned about Parker Navarro's interceptions, but Ball State has not been very good. I'm going to take alma mater number 2, the Bobcats, to cover here.
Bobcats big time, minus 14.5.
Are we keeping track of these or not?
We don't have to on the MAC.
Okay. Next, we have Western Michigan minus 13.5 at UMass. UMass is winless. They've given up 40 points in 3 of 4 games, and the one they did not, they lost to Bryant. That's another school I couldn't tell you where it's at. Meanwhile, Western Michigan, their losses are against Michigan State, Illinois, and actually a pretty good North Texas team. They've already beaten Toledo. My guy, Lance Taylor, my other guy, Chris O'Leary, their defensive coordinator, give me the Broncos big in this game.
I like the Bryant. I said the Bryant. I'm trying to look up where Bryant is. It's in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Oh, how about that?
Give me the Western Michigan Broncos. Huge in this game.
Next up, Central Michigan, 7.5-point favorite at Akron. Central Michigan's 2 losses are against Pitt and Michigan. They've looked pretty good. Akron just got their doors blown off by Toledo. Give me Central Michigan to cover this one.
Respect to the Chippewas. We just talked about them with Michigan. Give me the Chippewas minus 7.5.
We have Eastern Michigan at Buffalo, the Bulls, a 10.5-point favorite. Buffalo's actually not been very good this year. They struggled with Kent State. They lost to Troy. They lost to UConn. Eastern Michigan, though, we just talked about them earlier in the show. They have the worst rushing defense in the country. And
Buffalo has Al.J. Henderson.
Al.J. Henderson, give me the Bulls to win this one big.
Bulls, big, minus 10.5.
Are we going the straight favorite ticket in this one? Miami, 4.5-point favorite at Northern Illinois. Miami does that thing every year where they play a bunch of really good teams to start. They've lost to UNLV, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. NIU Clinton, on the other hand, they cannot play offense. They just lost 6-3 to San Diego State. They have not yet exceeded 19 points in 4 games this season. And I think their quarterback just either got hurt or left the team. I think. I'm taking Miami in this game.
You know, I wanted to take NIU because, crazy things happen on Saturdays that are quiet. But Daquan Finn and Miami's offense is too much. I think they might smother the Huskies here. Give me Miami, especially only minus 4.5.
Is he playing again? He got hurt against
Finn?
UNLV.
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, he did not play their last game.
It doesn't matter. Miami's still too good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Miami, so I'm not going to be able to find an update on the internet because there is very little coverage of Minigan.
Alex, if you're listening to us, man,
yes,
send us
Alex,
a comment.
Alex, tell me what's up with the Quan fan if you're listening. Last one here, Clinton. We have Kent State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a 44.5-point favorite, and they're going to cover this spread easily. I think this game is going to be like 66-0.
Golden Flashes outright. No, I'm just kidding.
There is no John Mateer.
No John Mateer in this game, but I'm blanking on his name. The young man who's starting, he played last year.
Michael Hawkins.
Yes, he has experience.
And he was not very good.
The
but
Oklahoma Sooners will erase Kent State off the field. Give me the Sooners.
This has been your Mid-American Conference Minute. This will be a regular segment moving forward. I cannot wait for this in November when we get our.
That's going to be spicy.
Our weeknight action. This is going to be more than a Mid-American Conference Minute.
Shit, we'll have to do those on Mondays. We'll have to move it to Monday.
Yes. Mac Monday.
There we go, Mac Monday. We'll just do the whole Mac on Mondays. We'll pick all their games on Mondays.
There we go. That is it for us tonight, guys. Reminder, follow us on the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at ITPCFB. Subscribe to that YouTube feed so you can get notified whenever we are going live, and you can catch all of the shorts that Clinton puts out for us throughout the week. Twitter is always going to be the best place to find our content. You'll find all of our links there if you'd rather listen in your podcast feed, or if you are listening in your podcast feed for the first time, make sure you're following, subscribe to the show so you can get notified directly to your notification center whenever our episodes drop, and then you will never miss a show. While you're there subscribing, drop us a star rating and a review if you're on Apple. We would greatly appreciate it. Any comments we'll take to heart. Join our Battle Bets League. Listen to that off the top of the show. You know where to find us. Find us on the Twitter page there. I think we will not be going live Saturday night because I'm going to play hockey at 11:20 p.m.
So we'll see you Sunday night.
We'll be back on Sunday night. We're going to be back on Sundays for the next 3 weeks.
3?
Yeah, because we're doing it this week on Sunday. Next week is your football day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the week after that, I'm going to be in Columbus.
Okay.
Because Sam's running the marathon on that
That's right,
Sunday.
because we were supposed to go to Minnesota and Nebraska.
Yes.
But we're getting an upgrade going Minnesota at Oregon,
Yeah, if you want to
which
come
Ryan is just a little over a month away.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have to figure out where I'm staying on Thursday night in Seattle and get my tickets to the Kraken game. But other than that, I got my whole trip figured out.
Yep.
Got my car, got my flight.
I'm
Got
excited.
it all. We're all
Should
booked.
be good.
Got to get a Duck shirt too. Oregon fans, if you are listening to this still at this point in the episode, drop us some recommendations for Eugene on Friday before the game.
Oh, especially Clinton, because Clinton's going to be in Eugene by noon on Thursday. I'm going to need some shit to do.
And if you're a Washington fan and you have any recommendations for food in downtown Seattle, because that's where I will be on Thursday. It'll be fun. Thanks, guys, for listening. We will see you all Sunday night for our